Good day, everybody, and welcome to Brooks' global headquarters in Seattle, Washington. We're so excited today to launch a new concept and product line that frankly is the biggest launch ever in the history of Brooks. Brooks is all about the run, and our mantra in product and footwear has always been and always will be the perfect ride for every stride. No matter how you run, how fast, how slow, how old, we want to build the perfect shoe for you. So when this conversation was lit up over a year ago now by Chris McDougall and his story in Born to Run, it was all about shoe versus no shoe, barefoot versus shoe. Our perspective on what this runner experience was really all about was much more than shoe, no shoe. It was really about a feel experience versus a float experience. When you look at the new continuum that we're aligning footwear on in technical performance running, we're going to add that float feel runner experience to it, and I think it'll resonate with you because we're absolutely convinced it's going to resonate with runners. Let me bring on the team and we'll unveil this concept and product line. Thanks.
So with all the noise in the market, we really wanted to get down to what the consumer was actually saying. And so to help us with this, we partnered with IDEO, the Harvard of Consumer Insights. So we traveled the country from Seattle to Chicago, Austin, New York City, spent time with the consumer, conducted focus groups where we had consumers come in and actually get to build their own running shoe. So after this very revealing process, we quickly learned that there was a new running mindset emerging in the market. And from that, we took away 5 overarching consumer insights. The first was that the shoe is the story and the story is the shoe. And what that means is that the shoe has to speak for itself. Function has to be more intuitive. Consumers were very confused by technology in traditional running shoes. Number 2, they want more of a choice. They want to, for instance, determine the color of their shoe or be more involved in the interaction with the store over the purchase and what type of shoe is right for them. The third consumer insight, make the process of buying a running shoe just a little bit more simple and intuitive to the consumer. We had a great example. We spent the day with Joe in Chicago and actually accompanied him on a trip to a local running store to purchase a shoe. Afterwards, he came out of the store. We asked him, Joe, hey, how was the experience? And he said, well, I think I'm a nader. And it was funny for us, especially in the industry, because clearly being a nader doesn't help you purchase a shoe. You need to know whether you're an overpronator or a supinator. And even immediately after the fit process, he still was a little confused as to what his foot type was. The fourth consumer insight, people are looking to connect to running in a more intimate way. It's socially through joining local running groups, connecting with other runners to make running a greater part of their life, and then also physically through their product experience. So the fifth and final insight that we took away from our IDEO experience was that not all runners are the same. People embrace running differently, and it's important to celebrate the individual. So as we endeavor to build a product line to meet this new consumer mindset, it was important that we turn the microscope to ourselves. And big brands win on the street, but Brooks wins on the run. We have to remain authentic. What we do at Brooks is build great functioning running shoes that biomechanically work for the runner. It's paying attention to every detail and nuance on the shoe to make sure that it functions. We can't just build a shoe that looks cool. There has to be a purpose biomechanically. So our second internalization, barefoot was a trend and lightweight is a reality. A lot of runners knew somebody who was into barefoot running. But the takeaway was that most of these people were realists in that they weren't into barefoot running themselves. That was a little scary for them. But the idea of connecting closer to the ground and being more connected to their run was something that definitely inspired them. The final internalization is that the market is shifting rapidly, and if you don't have a point of view, you're simply another option. Now is the time to provide true thought leadership. There are a lot of products out there that offer less is more, and we want to come to market with a solution that does more with less. After we put all this together, we've uncovered 2 different running experiences, and we're calling them float and feel. Imagine riding in a motorcycle, feeling the road, hugging the turns, completely connected to your driving experience. For running, it's the same thing, being completely immersed in the actual experience. So for float, imagine riding in a luxury sedan, plush interior, soft suspension, letting the car really do the work. That's the float experience. What you see here is the biomechanical spectrum. It goes from neutral to guidance to support to control. This is currently how Brooks builds shoes, every one of them with a specific biomechanical function. We've identified the consumer wants to have a choice in their running experience. And to provide that, we've added a vertical spectrum. The bottom is feel and the top is float. And this is all about experience. The top two quadrants house our core product, float product. The bottom two quadrants house our feel line, which is our pure project line. So now as we look into the lower two quadrants, the feel silo, we're also going to rename and use consumer speak for neutral to control, that horizontal fit axis. We're going to say freedom is our most neutral option and assurance is our most supportive option. Within this category, we're going to introduce 4 shoes. Brooks Connect is our most free and most feel experience in our pure project line. As you go up the spectrum, we then will have the Brooks Flow, which has a little bit more assurance to it and a little bit more cushion. And then as you move up the line, then you will reach the Brooks Cadence. The Brooks Cadence has the most assurance of the 3 shoes while still providing an amazing feel. Finally, we'll have the Grit, and the Grit will live in the trail world, but still in the feel silo. So the bottom 2 quadrants is where our pure project will live. These shoes are all about feel.
Man, go away. Can we talk about product now? Thank you. So, as you know, there's a lot of confusion right now happening in the running market, and we try to provide some real answers to running form questions. You know, many brands simply strip down their product, and we believe that that may not be the best idea for the runner, because, you know, it could really lead to less is less. So our approach is a little differently. We try to actually enhance the running experience and have the runner feel more with less by providing him with some amazing running shoes. So how do we do that? You know, we apply our secret sauce, which is performance and biomechanics. The goal is for the runner to feel a more natural foot strike, transition and ride. So for the Pure Project line, we actually invented a completely brand new footwear creation philosophy, and we call this IDEAL. IDEAL stands for ideal alignment. We try to shift force application points at foot strike to align force vectors. With this aligned force vectors, we really try to ideally load internal mechanisms like ligaments, tendons, muscles and joints. So if you ask yourself if these shoes are lightweight, flexible, breathable, have a lower offset and a lower profile, absolutely. But we actually added 5 more brand new market-leading innovations that all basically make up the idea of ideal. We have a curvature in the heel to set up the foot strike right. You don't really land on an edge, but it's more like a plane landing, and you can really ideally align those force vectors, like I described earlier, to prevent those lever arms. The second idea is our toe flex. This is a cool idea to really separate the hallux and the big toe from the rest of the toes at push-off to really give you this little extra effort and have a natural transition into foot strike. The third idea is that we have a new proprietary system to blend our DNA into a foam version, which means that we have no drop-ins, it's more sustainable, it's lighter, you have less layers, you actually feel and connect with the road more, like Carson described, and actually the performance is really great as well. The fourth update is that we have a navicular strap. This is an idea to create a customized fit and really give the level of assurance that Carson was talking about earlier. And the fifth idea is, when you look at the foot, this actually looks like a foot. It's shaped, rather than going in the middle of the shoe to the point, it goes all the way down to the hallux and achieves the highest point there like it is in your bare foot. This baby is the Pure Connect, the shoe with the most feel. It has a 1410 offset, so it's extremely low profile, also lower offsets, and it's just 7.2 ounces. We have a very minimal and simplistic upper that gives you a great fit. It has an open sandwich mesh inside that can really hug your foot, and then it's simply covered by a mono mesh that covers the entire shoe. It has all the 5 features that I explained earlier: the ideal heel, toe flex, the Biomogo DNA, the nav band, and the new anatomical last. It's for people that really want a lightweight shoe to really connect with their run and the surface they run on. This shoe is the Pure Flow. Within the feel line of Pure Project, this shoe is still extremely low profile with an offset of 4mm and 18mm and 40mm, but it gives you a little bit of extra cushioning. That's what this shoe is for people that want a little bit more of assurance. The same is true for the upper. You see that the nav band is a little wider and it wraps all the way around to give you a little bit more support, and also the materials are a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more luxurious. Next up is the Pure Cadence, and this is actually a pretty interesting guy. Within the Pure Project line and the promise of feel, this shoe actually gives you a little extra amount of assurance, and we achieve that by some pretty cool innovations. First of all, we integrate this nav band into this cuboid pod. And that gives you a lot of insurance in the upper, and it wraps right into the tooling as well to give you a really snug and comfortable fit. At the same time, we have an internal system called internal PDRB that really works as a ramp to slow down the eversion rate and really give you some extra amount of support. This shoe is 9.5 ounces and has the same offsets as the Flow, which is 80 millimeters in the heel and 40 millimeters in the forefoot. And at the same time, we really use some nice soft materials to create some ultimate fit and feel. Last but certainly not least is the Pure Grit. This is a shoe where you can really connect with the ground. It's a shoe for the trails, it's extremely lightweight, it's 8.9 ounces and really low profile with 50 millimeters in the heel and 11 millimeters with the forefoot, so we keep our 4 millimeter offset throughout the Pure project line. On top of that, we really worked hard together with Scott Jurek to come up with this amazing idea of having a concave full rubber outsole. So when you actually apply forces and load, the shoe splays out and gives you a lot more support. On top of that, as you can see, we really widened the base to give you a lot of stable platform there as well. The upper is interesting as well. You see that we have our nav band, and then on top of that, we have this mono mesh, or the single layer mesh here, that covers a new foam, which gives you an amazing fit and feel because it conforms to your foot and just gives you a beautiful ride. The Pure project line really gives the runner a more aligned foot strike, making the shoe a natural extension of your body and really works together with your foot rather than against it.
We can't just build a shoe that looks cool.
We want to build the perfect shoe for you.
Brooks wins on the run.
Feel more with less.